You are cutting vegetables at the counter, a carrot. You take the top and the tail and you sweep them into the bin. Then the outer leaves of the cabbage, the tough ones, into the bin. The stalk of the broccoli, thick as your thumb, the part nobody eats, into the bin. The stems of the mushrooms, the skin of the onion, the daikon greens. You do this without thinking, because this is how it is done, because someone taught you that these are the parts that are not food. Then you take the trimmed vegetables, and you set them aside, and you go to the cupboard, and you take out a box of soup base you paid, plainly, $4 for. And you add water to a powder to make flavor, while the flavor you just threw away is still warm in the bin behind you. Now let me show you my kitchen. In my kitchen there is no bin under the counter. There is a bag, and into that bag goes the carrot top, and the cabbage leaf, and the broccoli stalk, and the mushroom stem, and the onion skin. That bag sits in the freezer and fills all week, quietly, from things I did not pay 1 extra cent for. And on Sunday, that bag becomes a pot of broth, so good, so full and deep and savory, that it becomes the base of half our meals. Plainly, the $4 box on your shelf is trying, badly, to imitate the thing you carried to the trash on Tuesday. My name is Kenji Takara. I am 81 years old, and I live in Okinawa, in the warm south of Japan. I have lived a long life. Beside me, as always, is my wife, Yuki. She is 78, and in 50 years, I have never once seen her throw away a vegetable trimming. Not once. She learned it as a girl from her mother, Mitsuko, in years after the war, when a family ate on almost nothing, and the idea of throwing away the stalk of a vegetable would have been not merely wasteful but shameful, a thing the neighbors would have spoken of. Mitsuko learned it from her mother before that. There is a Japanese phrase for this, marugoto, to use the whole thing, entire, from tip to tail. This is not a trick I invented. It is a habit that a whole country practiced for centuries, and that a whole country, plainly, has now begun to forget. Today, I hand it back to you. In the next 25 minutes, I will teach you this fully. I will explain the real science, why the parts you throw away hold more flavor than the parts you keep, which sounds like a story, but is simple, honest chemistry. I will show you exactly which scraps to save and which to leave out, because some will ruin your pot. I will walk you through the method step by step, with the times and the signs. I will tell you honestly what can go wrong and how to keep it safe. And I will show you the real money, what this one bag saves in a year. Because let me say it plainly, and with more sorrow than anger, you were taught to throw those parts away. You did not decide it. The store decided it, because peeled, trimmed, and packaged food sells for more, and because a customer who throws away the flavor must come back and buy flavor in a box. So we were taught that the stalk is not food, that the leaf is not food, that the skin, the stem, the top, the tail, not food. And meanwhile, the very same industry simmers those scraps by the ton, dries the result into a powder, and sells it back to us for $4 a box. A household spends, plainly, $60, $80, $100 a year on broths and bases and bouillon, and throws away several $100s of perfectly good food to do it. In Japan, we have a word for the shame of that, matenai, the feeling that everything has value, and that to waste it is a small disrespect. Today, we set it right. Before we go on, one small thing, and then I will not mention it again. Yuki and I have gathered these old habits, the whole vegetable cooking, the scraps, the broths, all of it, into a book at kenjitakara.com for anyone who wishes to keep them in one place. That is all I will say of it. It waits there if you want it. Now let us begin. So let me give you the first principle, the one idea everything rests upon, and then I will show you the whole habit, step by step. Here it is, and it will sound backwards until you hear the reason. The parts of a vegetable you throw away hold more flavor than the parts you keep. Not less, more. Think about which parts they are. The skin, the outer leaf, the stalk, the root end. These are the parts that face the world. They took the sun. They fought the weather and the insects. And so the plant packed its defenses there, and its color, and its concentrated compounds. The tender inside, the part you eat, is soft and mild and mostly water because it was protected. Plainly, the plant put its strength on the outside, and we have been trained to peel the strength off and throw it in the bin. Stay with me. I will show you exactly how to take it back. Now let me explain the science. Plainly, the way Yuki explained it to me when I was young and thought the stalk of the broccoli was garbage. Why does the outside of a vegetable hold more flavor than the inside? It is not poetry. It is the life of the plant. A plant cannot run away. It cannot hide, so it defends itself chemically, and it builds those defenses where the danger is, on the outside, in the skin, in the outer leaves, in the tough, fibrous stalk that must stand up against the wind. Those defensive compounds are bitter, aromatic, sharp, complex. And here is the thing. In small amounts, in a pot of water, those very compounds are what we call flavor. The onion skin is full of the compounds that give onion its depth and its color. The carrot top and the carrot skin hold more of the aromatic oils than the sweet core does. The mushroom stem, tough and woody, is packed with the same savory compounds as the cap, sometimes more. And there is a second thing, and it is the important one, umami, the deep savory taste. The fifth taste, named by a Japanese scientist from the seaweed broth of our own kitchens. Umami comes largely from free glutamates, small pieces of protein that have been released. And here is the beautiful truth. Those tend to concentrate in the parts of the plant that work hardest. Mushroom stems, tomato skins, and the jelly around the seeds, which people scrape out and discard, holds far more umami than the flesh they keep. The white pith and root of the green onion, cut off and binned, is where the strength is. So when you simmer these scraps in water, plainly, this is what happens. The heat breaks open the cell walls, the aromatic compounds, the glutamates, the sugars, the color, all of it dissolves out into the water. And in 20 or 30 minutes you have a liquid that is not water anymore. It is broth. It is flavor that cost you nothing because you had already bought it and you were about to throw it away. Now understand what the $4 box on your shelf actually is. A factory does exactly what I have just described at enormous scale. Simmers scraps, concentrates the liquid, dries it into powder, adds salt, adds cheap flavor enhancers to make up for what was lost in the drying, and puts it in a box. You are buying the shadow of the thing you had. That is the whole business, plainly, and it depends entirely on you not knowing. Now, the materials, and this part matters more than any other, so listen closely, because the honest scope begins right here. Some scraps are wonderful, and some will ruin your pot. Save these. The onion skins and root ends, the papery brown skin gives beautiful golden color and depth. Carrot tops, tails, and peels. celery leaves and bottoms, green onion roots and the tough, dark green tops you cut off, mushroom stems. These are the greatest of all, the deepest umami in the bag. Leek greens, the tough outer leaves and the hard core of the cabbage. Corn cobs, after the kernels are cut off, sweet and wonderful. Broccoli and cauliflower stalks, parsley and herb stems, which hold more flavor than the leaves, daikon greens and radish tops, tomato skins and cores, garlic skins and ends, ginger peel, squash skins and seeds. Plainly, that is a treasury, and most of it goes into bins every day in every kitchen in the country. Now, do not save these, and this is the honest part nobody tells you. Anything moldy, slimy, or rotten, no. Broth does not fix bad food, it spreads it. Potato peels, in large amounts, will make your broth cloudy, starchy, and muddy. A few are fine, a bagful is not. Beet skins will turn everything violently red. Bitter greens, collard and mustard stems, kale ribs in quantity, will make it bitter. And the cabbage family, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, must be used with restraint. In small amounts they are good. In large amounts, or simmered too long, they turn sulfurous and unpleasant. That smell of an overcooked school kitchen. Yuki keeps her cabbage scraps to perhaps a quarter of the bag, no more. Be honest about this, and your broth will be beautiful. Ignore it, and you will make one bad pot and give up, and blame the method. You need a bag, a freezer bag, or a container, and you need water and a pot. That is all. Now the method, step by step. Listen to the order. Step 1. Put a bag in your freezer. Today. This is the whole habit, and it is the only step people fail at, because it is a habit and not a recipe. Every time you cut a vegetable, the trimmings go in the bag instead of the bin. Wash your vegetables before you cut them, so the scraps are clean going in. The bag lives in the freezer and it fills, quietly, across the week. Step 2. Why the freezer? 2 reasons plainly. First, scraps in a bag on the counter would rot in 2 days. Frozen, they wait for you safely for weeks. Second, and this is a small gift, freezing actually helps. The water inside the plant cells expands into ice crystals and bursts the cell walls open. So the scraps come out of the freezer, already broken, already ready to give up their flavor faster than fresh ones would. The freezer is not merely storage. It is the first step of the extraction. Step 3. When the bag is full, perhaps 4 cups of scraps, plainly, once a week or 2, tip it into a pot. You do not need to thaw it. Straight from the freezer into the pot. Step 4. Cover it with cold water. Cold, not hot. Just enough to cover the scraps, no more. Less water means stronger broth, and you can always add water at the end. You cannot take it away. Step 5. Bring it up slowly, gently, toward a simmer. And here is the golden rule of all broth, so hear me plainly. Never let it boil hard. A hard rolling boil smashes the fine particles into the water and turns your broth cloudy and muddy and can pull bitterness out of the tougher scraps. You want a bare simmer, small bubbles, barely breaking the surface. Lazy. Yuki watches the pot and turns it down the moment it thinks about boiling. Low and slow. That is the whole art. Step 6. Add nothing else at first. No salt. Salt at the end, always, because as the water reduces, the broth concentrates, and broth salted at the start becomes broth too salty at the end. If you like, add a bay leaf, a few peppercorns, Or, the Japanese way, a piece of dried kombu kelp for a great push of umami. But take the kombu out before the water boils, because boiled kombu turns slimy and bitter. Step 7. The time. Simmer it gently for 30 to 45 minutes, not hours. This surprises people who have made beef bone broth. Vegetables are not bones. There is no collagen to break down, nothing that needs long hours. Vegetables give up their flavor quickly, and past about an hour, the tougher scraps begin to give up bitterness instead. 30 to 45 minutes, and stop. Plainly, this is one of the beautiful things about it. The best thing in your kitchen takes half an hour of doing nothing. Step 8. Strain it. Pour it through a strainer into a clean bowl, pressing the scraps gently with the back of a spoon to get the last of the liquid. Gently, do not crush them, or you will cloud it. Now taste and now salt, a little at a time, until it wakes up, and the signs that it worked. Good scrap broth is clear or lightly golden. The onion skins will have given it a lovely color. It smells sweet and round and savory, like a kitchen, not sharp or sulfurous. And when you taste it plainly, you will do the thing everyone does the first time, which is to stop and look at the pot and think, this came out of the bin. That surprise is the sign. That is success. Here is a small thing Yuki and I have done for many years. We keep a little notebook by the freezer. What went in the bag, how long it simmered, how it tasted. Because your bag is not my bag. It depends on what your family eats. And after a month of small notes, you will know your own proportions exactly. How much cabbage is too much? How many mushroom stems make it sing? That template is in the resource at kenjitakara.com if you would like it. But truly, a scrap of paper taped to the freezer does the very same job. The noticing is the thing, not the paper. Now, the honest scope. What can go wrong? Plainly, so you are never caught out. The first mistake, the wrong scraps. Too much cabbage or broccoli, and it turns sulfurous. Too many potato peels and it turns muddy. Beets and it turns red. Bitter greens and it turns bitter. The fix, keep the strong ones to 1/4 of the bag and let onion, carrot, celery, and mushroom be the backbone. The second mistake, boiling hard. Cloudy, muddy, bitter. The fix, gentle simmer. Always. Watch the pot. The third mistake, too long. Past an hour, bitterness. The fix, 30 to 45 minutes, and stop. The fourth mistake, plainly the most common, a bag that never gets used. It fills and is still there in 6 months, and then it gets thrown away, and now you have wasted the scraps twice. The fix, one small rule. When the bag is full, that is the day. Not next week, that day. And now the real safety, and I will not let you be careless with it. Never put moldy or rotting scraps in the bag. Freezing does not kill anything. It only pauses it. Bad food frozen is bad food thawed. Only clean, fresh trimmings go in. And the greater one, broth itself. A warm pot of broth is a perfect home for bacteria, so it must be cooled quickly, not left on the stove all afternoon to cool slowly. Set the pot in a sink of cold water and ice. Stir it, get it cold fast and into the refrigerator. Use it within 3 or 4 days. To keep it longer, freeze it. And here is the beautiful way. Freeze it in an ice cube tray. Then tip the cubes into a bag, and now you have small blocks of real flavor to drop into any pan, any time, for months. And as always, if broth ever smells sour, sharp, or wrong when you go to use it, throw it away. Trust your nose. It has never lied to you. Now, mate nai. Total use, nothing wasted. And this habit is Matenai in its purest form, because it begins in the bin and ends on the table. But we go further, as we always do. Look at what you strained out. Those simmered scraps still have some life in them, and they can go to a compost pile or a garden bed where they become soil, and the soil becomes vegetables, and the vegetables come back to your kitchen and give you scraps again. The circle closes. Nothing leaves. And beyond the broth, those parts are food in their own right. Plainly, the broccoli stalk, peeled and sliced thin, is sweet and crisp and excellent in a stir-fry. It is better than the florets, and I will argue with anyone about it. The daikon greens, chopped and salted, are a pickle by tomorrow. The carrot tops make a rough, green, wonderful sauce. The cabbage core, sliced thin, goes into the pickle jar. The habit of the bag teaches you something larger than broth. It teaches your eye to stop seeing garbage where there is food, and the habit continues itself, which is the best part. The bag empties on Sunday and goes straight back into the freezer, empty, waiting, and you cut a carrot on Monday, and it begins again. You will never once have to decide to do it. That is what a habit is. That is why this one lasted 1,000 years, until it didn't. Now, the money. Let us count it plainly. A box of vegetable broth costs, plainly, $3 to $4, and holds 4 cups. A family that uses broth regularly goes through 2 boxes a week. That is $8 a week, over $400 a year, for water and salt and powder. Now count ours. 1 full bag of scraps makes 8 to 12 cups of broth, 2 or 3 boxes worth. The cost of the scraps? Nothing. You already bought them. You were paying to have them hauled away. The cost of the water and the gas to simmer it? Pennies. So every bag, plainly, is worth $8 to $12 in store broth for free, and it happens once or twice a week without any effort at all. That is $400 a year saved from a bag in the freezer, and that is only the broth. Count also the food you are no longer throwing away, the stalks and greens you now eat, and for many families, that is another $200 or $300 a year rescued from the bin. Plainly, this one forgotten habit is worth $600 or $700 a year, and it asks nothing of you but a bag and a moment's attention. Real money, your money, from the parts they told you were garbage. So here is your task for this weekend. Just one thing. Do not make broth yet. Take a freezer bag, 1 bag, and put it in your freezer today. Then, for the next week, every time you cut a vegetable, put the trimmings in that bag instead of the bin. That is all. Nothing else. Just fill the bag. And when it is full, you will have sitting in your freezer $10 of broth that cost you nothing, and you will make it, because it will be right there asking. 1 bag. Start there. See for yourself. And then tell me in the comments, what did your mother or your grandmother save that everyone else threw away? The bacon fat in the tin by the stove, the bread heels, the bones, the bean water. Every house had one thing, and every one of those habits is disappearing, quietly, without anyone deciding to end it. Here, right here, is where we can remember them together. Write it down. Share it. Let us gather the old wisdom, all of us, before it is lost for good. And next time, Yuki and I are going to show you the other half of this. How to take the vegetable parts you are now saving and eat them directly, as real dishes, the way an Okinawan kitchen has always done, from the broccoli stalk to the daikon leaf. If you wish to learn it, stay with us. subscribe, and walk this quiet old road beside us. Let me leave you, as always, with the whole habit in a single sentence. Put a bag in the freezer, let the trimmings fall into it instead of the bin, and simmer it gently for half an hour, and the parts you were told were garbage will feed you for the rest of your life.